The New England Patriots are heading into this offseason with the most cap space available in the league, and have already made a huge change this offseason when they fired Jerod Mayo and hired former Titans Coach of the Year and Super Bowl winner for the Patriots, Mike Vrabel. Vrabel, first off, is a very good hire for this team because he is a culture changer, and that is exactly what a young squad like this could use. It may have been a little unfair to move on from Mayo that quick, but at the end of the day, this is a business, and it's not about being fair, and it's about being the best, and Vrabel, I believe, is much better for this team than Mayo. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a lot of similar stuff to the last few videos I've made about this team, but I'm going to give even more updates. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Now moving on to the Patriots, who obviously were not very good at all. They should be able to take a big step in the rebuild this year, as they have the number 4 overall pick, they have the most cap space available as I mentioned, and the good thing for them is that they seemingly already have solved the hardest problem. They have found a QB in Drake May, and I think they have something. I think he has a lot of potential, a very high ceiling, and he has taken big steps with little to no talent around him. May showed a lot of promise last year since he took over, and certainly looks like he can be a good QB in this league for years to come. He did have some moments where he struggled, of course, but at the end of the day, he was a rookie thrown into a very bad situation, and I would say that overall, he looked pretty good, making some very eye-opening throws, showing great athleticism and accuracy, as well as of course the size, and I think with some O-line and better talent around him, he could become a very good QB in this league, like I said, for years to come. And not to mention, they also have Joe Milton, who is very interesting. Although it was against backups, he looked very good in week 18. Really, I probably shouldn't even be looking into this, but he did make some crazy plays, so it seems like between those two, they already have the QB room figured out. And then moving on to the cap space, there are definitely a lot of holes that the Patriots need to address between free agency and the draft. And I think obviously a dream scenario for them is to land the best free agent wide receiver, and that of course is T. Higgins. I've said before that T. Higgins is likely the type of player that would care more about how much money he is making rather than how good the team he signs with is. So I think a team like the Patriots, who obviously have the money to give him, would be willing to pay him the most, especially because they desperately need that wide receiver 1 type of guy, because this wide receiver room is very lackluster. I'm just going to say it how it is. And it is most important that they get good talent around Drake May for him to throw to. But the Patriots wide receiver room does feature a few guys that I think they should hold on to, a few guys with some upside, such as Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas, and Kendrick Bourne. And then there's Jalen Polk, who seems to be a huge question mark of a pick. But those guys are all wide receiver 3 material, maybe like a bad wide receiver 2 on a good day, so it's clear that they need a true wide receiver 1, and I think T. Higgins is obviously ready to take on that role. One thing that is for sure is if he goes there, the offense will definitely run through him, and he will be Drake May's number 1 target, and he can no doubt take on that role because he is very talented and has great size. He just needs to stay healthy, and he is without a doubt worth all the money that the Patriots would have to pay to get him. Another area that they certainly need to address that pretty much everyone knows is the offensive line, because if you can't protect Drake May, if you can't protect your QB, then you're not going to win. And they especially need help at the most important position, the tackles. There are some free agent options, but we could also see them go the draft route, which I will touch more on later, but since they have the most cap space in the league, the world is their oyster. One option the Patriots have at the tackle position is former Vikings tackle Cam Robinson, who will certainly be chased after by other teams to be their starting tackle, but again, the Patriots have a lot more flexibility than those teams, so they can make this happen if they want to. I think Robinson would be a huge get for them, and it certainly would be a big upgrade from what they have right now. Another big option they could go for is Lamar Jackson coming from the Rams, and I think he may be a little bit better than Cam. He's younger, and he also has only given up 4 sacks the last 2 seasons. He obviously will cost a lot of money, but again, I think it would be absolutely worth it. This team just really is in desperate need of tackle help, so I do think going after Jackson would be very wise. He should be their first option, but Cam Robinson still could be in play. But no matter what, with all these free agents, they will likely have to overpay a little bit for them because they are not exactly an eye-popping destination, and they are in the middle of a rebuild, but money talks, and they have a lot of it, so they can overpay to get some good talent, and that will go a long way in the rebuilding process. A couple other potential free agent targets they could go after on offense include Trey Smith, who again would provide more offensive line help, which is something as mentioned that is very important, as well as the potential backup option if they swing and miss on T. Higgins, and that is Darius Slayton. I think he could still provide something for this team. Although he's not quite the caliber of T. Higgins and he's a little bit older, he could just be another guy. I still view him as like a wide receiver number 2. Obviously the Giants are kind of like moving on. They got Malik Neighbors. They're building something special over there. I truly do believe that. I'm not saying the Giants are going to be a winning football team. Obviously that organization is just like cursed. I don't think they're ever going to get there. But I think the future of their wide receiving core is going to be solid, and Slayton might be someone that they are willing to get rid of. As far as the defense goes, there is certainly some talent on this side of the ball that has shown promise, with guys like Christian Gonzalez, Jabril Peppers, who of course was placed on the commissioner's exempt list for a while, and Kyle Duggar. But they could still use a lot of help, and another potential free agent signing for them would be Carlton Davis, who again, like everyone else, would cost them a lot, and they would likely have to overpay, but he would be a big help as he is an established veteran corner, a guy who has been around the league and kind of knows it all, and I think he could see New England as a destination where he could get that bag, and then see Christian Gonzalez would be opposite of him, and see that they could be very good together under Vrabel's defense. Gonzalez is an absolute freak and has already established himself as one of the best corners in the game, and I think Davis could see that, see New England's cap space, and potentially seek them out as one of his top spots. He would be a big get for them. He would be one of the highlights of the offseason, and I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. And then of course the last piece of all this comes in April, where the Patriots have the 4th pick, and there are a lot of different routes they could go with this one. One route is if they want to secure a good lineman at 4, they could go with Will Campbell, who will certainly be a good tackle in this league, and could go opposite of one of the free agents I mentioned earlier very well, and then that could be their tackle duo going forward. But then there is the much more interesting and fun scenarios, which there is no guarantee of happening, because we are unsure of how Tennessee, Cleveland, and New York are picking, but let's just have fun and play with some of the scenarios. So let's say Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, who just got that new injury I guess, and Shedeur Sanders go the first 3 picks. This leaves Travis Hunter right in the Patriots' lap, and they could leave this draft with a generational talent who could play opposite of Christian Gonzalez, and if they don't get Davis like I mentioned earlier, or if they do, could create one of the best cornerback rooms in the league. Few plays a game, and that would give Drake May another weapon. And I mean, if they get T. Higgins, imagine all of a sudden you have T. Higgins, you have Hunter who could play like 10 snaps or something, and then you have all those other guys. All of a sudden this team is looking pretty good both offensively and defensively. I'm not saying they're a playoff team yet. Obviously they still got to build that O-line, they got to build up the foundation on defense, but all of a sudden there is some hope in New England. And then another option that is kind of looking more realistic now because of that injury, I think Abdul Carter could somehow be available at number 4, but I still do think Cleveland is eyeing him up. Obviously they are on the verge of losing Myles Garrett. They're probably going to have to trade him, and that is going to leave them with a big hole at that position. So I still do think that Carter goes to Cleveland, but we'll see. And then another more than likely scenario is trading back, because it's very possible that either Ward or Sanders is still available at that number 4 pick, and then in that case they don't need a QB, they have Drake May. So that is a big opportunity to trade back and get another selection later in the draft or later in a future draft and still get the player that they want. But that's all I have to say for this video. I know I was all over the place, was just kind of rambling, but that is what I think about the Patriots and what they could do this offseason. I think there is a lot of potential to change the trajectory of the future, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed it and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.